Hi, guys, and welcome back to Deep Waves Transformation. Today's guest is living proof that it's never too late to begin again, especially when the next chapter is calling you home to your truth. I am so honored to welcome Dani Murrell to the Deep Waves podcast. Dani is a former educator, a lifelong artist, a devoted mother of four in a beautifully blended family, and now, the voice behind Truth Bunny, her deeply personal and powerful philosophy on self love and healing. After over a decade of teaching, Dani found herself at a crossroads, grieving the identity she built, yet feeling the undeniable pull toward a new beginning. Through that pivot, Truth Bunny was born, a philosophy that reminds us that truth, when wrapped in love, can transform everything. In this episode, we'll explore how Dani learned to trust herself during a midlife shift, how motherhood helped shape her emotional clarity, and why she believes it's okay to start over, whether you're 42 or just beginning to ask, what's next? She's not waiting for things to be perfect. She's showing up as she is, honestly, bravely, and beautifully. And we're here for all of it. Dani, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
This is so exciting. I cannot wait to dive in. Okay. So, your journey has taken a beautiful turn from teaching to embracing your calling as the Truth Bunny guide. What was the pivotal moment when you realized it was time for change?
I think it was a really slow burn because I really loved teaching, being an art teacher. It felt like a calling when I went into it, and it aligned so
Okay.
perfectly with my kids. I finished college when they were small, and it really, the timing was perfect. Like right when my youngest went into kindergarten, I was going into my first year teaching, and my youngest just graduated a couple weeks ago. And
Yay!
yeah, very
Yes,
exciting.
graduates. Yes, we did it.
Yes,
Me too.
all over 18. It's a weird feeling. I
Yay!
mean, it's like, what?
Yeah.
um, but I think in anticipation of like, this is coming, like you are going to have more freedom, things are changing and evolving. I started letting myself, I think a little bit more like what else could be out there, and then
Yeah.
started feeling kind of with every year, just feeling a little more stifled, a little more trapped, and starting to realize like, oh, this is not a good feeling. Um,
Yeah.
anymore, and I'm no longer stimulated. But those were hard truths to come to because I felt like so stuck to that identity of being a teacher.
Oh,
Me and my husband met teaching together.
okay.
And it's just such a part of like, oh, you're an artist and you're a teacher, and that's just it's you, and it's a calling, and it's noble. And it's hard leaving something that people see as noble, or leaving a calling, because in my head it's like, well, callings are forever, you
Yeah.
change. And I've realized, oh wait, callings can change. They can evolve.
Absolutely.
They can be
Right? Oh,
beautiful, and they can be bigger and better, and that first calling was preparing you for the next one. So I've learned to finally be at peace with saying, I am done being in the classroom, and I am ready to be a teacher in a different way, and an artist in
oh,
a different way. And I've no longer fear it. I'm going to embrace it and lean into it. And it's really exciting, but it's so scary. Like,
I know it's so terrifying. You're like, I've never done any of this, but here I
yeah,
go.
yeah.
But that's part of growth and really tapping into that intuition and trusting ourselves, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. And
absolutely. You have to trust yourself.
Yeah, and I think part of raising these young adults now is
Yeah.
realizing I have to model this because
Yeah.
I have so much I see my kids and I'm like, they're so talented. They're so y'all are so talented. Like you can do anything you want. My daughter
Right.
wants to be a film director or in the film industry in some capacity, and my son wants to be an animator. And, you know, I've had conversations with other adults that are like, that's kind of crazy. Like, what are you encouraging here? And it's like,
See, and
I'm,
those are the people you got to stay away from.
yeah. And it's like, well, do you know them? If they want to do it, I mean, they could make that a backup plan. And I would be like, okay, like it just, I have so much
Yeah.
faith in them. But, raising kids, I think you realize like they don't really just do what you say, they do what you do. And I think that's also been a huge part of the calling and being like, you got to follow this now because they need to see that it's possible
Yeah. Who's going
and
to
that
be
it's,
the best example for your kids? Right.
yeah, yeah.
Certainly is not going to be the father. Not in my case.
No comments.
Yeah. No. Oh, he knows I love giving him shit. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So then you've been very open about grieving the past while stepping into something new. How did you reconcile those two emotions, letting go of what was while embracing the next?
I think part of the journey of writing Truth Bunny, my book, that's I mean, a lot of memoir, a lot of self-help kind of guide things, but one of the things was really breaking down what it was that was keeping me stuck. Like all those years, what was I
Okay.
running from? I mean, I think I've written so many versions of it that the first couple were just really epic diaries, like,
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
know, and I think realizing the process of my growth catapulting was when I let myself grieve my marriage that I left. I chose to leave. And realizing that for so long I felt so guilty and so much shame and
Right.
blame and I took it all on. But then when I realized, when you're the one choosing it, it feels like you can't grieve things and you
Right.
can't be sad about it. And so I didn't yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yep.
I wanted this, and I did, but that didn't mean I wasn't sad about it. And so I had to live in that paradox and have to be comfortable in that paradox. But what I found is in that in between, that perfect balance of I'm sad about it, but I still want it, and both can be true.
Yeah.
There's a magic there, and this like enlightenment and room to grieve and room to let yourself let it go because you have to grieve. So I think when I realized like, oh, this is the same thing, this career that I love, 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 and I will be sad about certain parts, I can let it go and be okay. I can let go of this identity, the only career I've ever known outside of being a mom, you know,
Right.
and it's just so scary. But I think just through understanding my last cycle of letting something go and growing from it and learning from it. I think that was that mental journey.
Nice. Okay. Perfect. So then, if you don't mind, will you take us back to the day that you fully, what I call surrendered? Do you have that? Did you have that day?
I think there's a ton of tiny surrenders that
Okay.
add up to like the big one.
Oh, okay.
But I think one tiny surrender was on January 1st. It sounds so corny, like sounds like, New Year resolution. But I had asked my therapist for a book recommendation because the year before my sister had sent me You're a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
and
it.
I had never really read anything like that.
Huh?
I mean, I'm really like into, growth and, self-help type things, but I don't think I had
Right.
read a book that had rocked me in the way that that
Right.
one did because it was just so positive and it was just so something I had never thought about. Like, I'm worthy and the universe is like just wants me to ask for things. And I don't know, it just did something to reprogram my brain. So this year on January 1st, I had asked my therapist, like, I want a book like that, like something to, rock, kind of wake me up a little bit. And he had suggested Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And so I said, okay. So I sat down with my coffee on that morning and started to read it. And I could not get through a paragraph without hearing, like, write a book. You need to write a book. You need just write a book. And I was sitting there like, like, that's okay, sure. Like, yeah, like, I'll put it on my to-do list,
Oh
like,
my
one day.
gosh.
And then I just couldn't get through it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Fine. Okay. I can't concentrate. I'll just write. So I got on my laptop and I started writing, and I didn't stop. And I
Oh my
just,
God.
like, thought, okay, I'm doing this. And then when I would, like, read it over, I'm like, this is so stupid. This is not right at all. This is just like jibber jabber, just rambling. And then realizing, like, I had the resilience to, like, go back and rework and reversion it and get feedback and not crumble. And it was like, So, I mean, I felt like a surrender to just write and not worry about, I'm not a writer. I'm not a self-help. I'm not a therapist, all these things.
Uh-huh.
So
So, have you ever experienced a surrender, as in you've experienced so much pain that you finally just surrender? You're hurting and broken and beaten and black and blue bruise covered. You are done. Was there a moment that you finally was like, okay, I'm hurting too much that it's not going to stop me from trying to change or grow and get better?
I think for sure, um, after my divorce, I felt so exposed. I felt so, um, like, everything that I had worked to build and be perceived as, like, a great mom and wholesome and all these things, like, all of a sudden I was seen as selfish and a liar and uh heartless,
Yeah,
and it was really easy for me to believe those things. And
yeah,
it could have been, I think, really easy to lean into it and be like, yeah, like, I'm heartless and it's just so much easier to be that way. And then my daughter, but I was in so much pain. I mean, I was heartbroken. I thought I was alone. My family pretty much ostracized me because they didn't agree with, leaving a marriage, um, for just not being happy. Like, that's not good enough reason. And there were other
right.
reasons, but that was what I was kind of standing on. Like, I'm just not happy. This isn't right. And it's not
Yeah,
okay
that's
for
the
him to.
label you put on it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it just wasn't good enough reason for anybody. And so I felt super alone and super horrible about myself. Like, just like, I'm a horrible, horrible, horrible person. But I kept steady for my kids. I was like, I will not be a bad person for my kids. And my
Yeah.
daughter, she left me a letter one day, and just telling me, she was upset with me and she was hurt and she didn't trust me. And that killed me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
because I thought, well, then I really have nothing. Like, I really don't. I don't.
Right.
Um, because they're all I'm living for. I'm trying to
Exactly.
be happy for them. I'm trying to figure out me, to be a better mom. And I remember reading it and being like, okay, I have two choices here. Like, I can just, like, pretend I never read it and just, like, do better. And, that's kind of what my parents would do,
Right.
like, not
Yeah.
acknowledge it, not validate it. Um, and then I thought, okay, I got to face this because I can't just ignore it. Like, I would not want that,
Yeah.
and so I had to sit down with her and be really vulnerable and human and flawed in front of both of my kids and be like, all I can do is tell you that I plan on gaining your trust back, working towards that, like,
Nice. Good.
and
Okay.
and I feel like that's when, like, the Truth Bunny concept was born. Like, it wasn't named, but it was like the moment I thought, okay, they still love me. They're not angry at me. It actually made us feel closer. And this truth thing of just being authentic with them and very like, here I am, like, I'm flawed mom, who doesn't know why, I don't know what's going to make me happy, but I'm figuring it out. And, but like, you
Yeah.
guys are number one kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And letting them realize mom can be happy, and she's still going to be here for me. Like, she's not choosing like her happiness over ours.
Yeah.
And
It
I
sounds
felt,
like both of you guys learned a lot from each other that day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So then starting over at 42 or any age for that matter can feel daunting for so many. What advice would you give someone who feels like they're too late to make a
Mm.
change or follow a new path?
Um, I definitely, one of the biggest things that I've had to work through in therapy is the time monster, like, looming over me going, it's too late. Like,
Uh-huh.
you
Yep.
you missed your window, or like, you only have, how many years do you really have left, or whatever.
Right.
And so I've had to realize that time doesn't give a shit about you. Like,
Nope.
time is not for you or against you. Like, I could sit there and go, I bow down to you, time. I worship you. And it would not care. And so it
Yep.
doesn't care about it. It does not, it's not a ticking clock going, you've got,
Yeah.
you've only got a, couple of years for you to, do this.
Yep.
Um, so that was freeing, knowing time doesn't give a shit. Like, I can start at any time. But I have to start. Like, I can't say that,
Yeah.
like, I'll start my book later. I'll start my book
Yeah.
when I'm, it's like, so you do have to act because it doesn't care.
Yep.
Um, and also, honestly, reading success stories of people my age, like, Martha Stewart, she wrote her, she published her first book at 42, or wrote her first cookbook at 42. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah,
At
dude.
40, I'm like, well, then I've got this. Like, I can figure this out.
Exactly.
So really, finding a network of people doing it, surrounding yourself with people that are inspiring you, i- is really important, I think. Um, and just realizing, like, it's such an illusion, it is such an illusion. Time, you can really literally do anything at any time.
Absolutely. Like Master Shihang Yi says, there is no such thing as time. There's only such thing as the now. And so he
Yes.
teaches us how to just be in the now.
Yes. Yes.
I love that book and I love him so much. He brings me so much peace and joy.
Mhm. I love that.
So then how has the Truth Bunny philosophy influenced your relationships with your family, especially with your children and your blended family dynamic? Because I am dying to get into that, the whole blended family dynamic too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the, Truth Bunny has been such a guiding light. And, my daughter's the one who coined the name Truth Bunny. And, her and I have been having these honest conversations since that moment. I mean, I've always been very like, let's talk about what's going on with you, when they raising them as kids, like, well, what's the real reason you're angry, or what, feeling this feeling? Let's get to the root of it, which is kind of what Truth Bunny, the concept is like, why does this feel this way, and why it's okay. Why, if you feel angry, let's talk about what the real thing is, truthfully, you know so we can do something about it. It's a good way, it's productive in my head. But
Right.
it just kind of clears the bullshit, like, let's get to the core of it. um but so, raising kids and then teenagers and then blending these kids, I think they were maybe 11, 12ish. They're all kind of very the same age. So we've got two 21-year-olds and a 19 and an 18-year-old. So, and
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they were very similar ages, which was great. It was super helpful in the blending, but we also went extremely slow. Um,
Okay.
and we just made sure they were okay, and having those honest conversations, like what's working, what's not working, let's have a family meeting about who's not pulling their weight in the house, and or like if there's resentment building, let's talk about it. Or me and my husband, truth bunnying through those boundaries as a parent, where I'm like, whoa, I'm mama bear, and like, you're not gonna raise, like, and
Yeah,
have,
right?
yeah, like, don't mess with them about that, or why are you messing with my kid about that, not your kid, and all these
Yeah.
very real problems and real things that, I mean, I grew up, my mom, I mean, the moment I started seriously dating him, oh, well, you can't blend families, I couldn't do it, so she
Oh,
just
okay.
like, blended families don't work. They're too hard. And I'm like, well, let me have a crack at it. I think it's worth
Yeah,
it.
right?
Like, let me see if I can do this in a way that the children don't feel just silenced or obligated, and we have just this magical, I don't know, I just truly feel like what we've created with these deep connections and this super open, there's no sneakiness. There's like, tell us what you're needing or what you're curious about, and let's talk about it. Whether that's sex or, weed, or whether it's, uh, starting a new sport and feeling out of your depth, or going to prom alone, like all these things that, you know, these young adults go through. I feel like we've gotten such a deeply connected inside uh to their world with this
Right.
honesty,
Because you went in with wanting expectations from everybody so that we can all be on the same page about stuff, right?
right.
And then ultimately that kind of led into you creating this safe space for the family that it's okay to come to me. You're
Yes.
safe with me. It's okay because I got
Right.
you. And your secret's going nowhere and we
Right.
respect each other. And they're all grown now to where they can all understand that. So that's really what it is creating that safe space for our kids. And yeah, they're grown and they're going to mess up
Yeah.
and they're going to want to go to somebody and it's probably going to be their best friend, but you can also come to me too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then
And
how
just
long have you guys been in this relationship?
so it was me and my husband, we kind of started dating shortly after I got divorced, and a lot of people had plenty to say about that too. Like, it's too soon. Um,
Which it's
and I
not.
was like, well, I'm taking it slow. I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring myself out. And um we've been married for the last, well, 4 years in July. So we've been married for 4 years, but been together about 9, 10 years. So
Okay, so that's a decent
as
amount of
we were
time.
coworkers, and so it's kind of hard. I'm not real big on, like, like, what was the
Working with
day
your
we,
partner.
yeah, like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We just kind of started. So
Yeah.
making it official, at least, I would say the last probably 9, 8 years is when the kids started really being an integral part of the
The web.
equation.
Yeah. The beautiful web. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So then what role has emotional clarity played in your personal journey and how do you encourage others to cultivate this clarity in their own lives?
I think, like I was kind of saying earlier, like, I love something that's very efficient and productive. Like, I'm kind of a, like, let's get stuff done.
Cool.
And
The go
let's,
doer.
yeah, like, like, if I want to explore something, like, okay, let me try to find the fastest way to get there and get the answers I need, and then get out if I'm not interested. I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
it's probably that whole time thing that's been controlling me for a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, but I found that, like, I feel like this does, it cuts a lot of the bullshit. Like, let's get to the heart of the problem. Let's get to what, oh, you're upset because you're afraid I'm judging you. Like, that's really the disconnect here. That's why we're arguing. You think I'm judging you. So it feels like if you can get past that and just be really comfortable with radical honesty with yourself and with others, like, and it's such a tricky thing because I think a lot of people consider radical honesty to be like bluntness, like, well, you're just a hot mess, or something like a judgment. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not being, maybe it's, that's why I like Truth Bunny, because it's truth, it's honesty, but Bunny is like the softness. It's an okay truth. I'm coming from a place of love. And that's why I feel like my kids got used to hearing, like, I'm going to tell you something and it might be real and it might be hard to hear,
Yeah.
but it's coming from love because we've established that trust.
Yay.
So I feel like in all of my relationships, being able to go in and be okay with who I authentically am and my authentic needs and boundaries and all of those things, like, I feel like it's helped me be clear about who I am and what I want and what I don't want. And then it
Yeah.
just makes your relationships with people you do align with, you're like, wow, this is so great. Like, me, you're seeing me, and you're cool with it. And we don't have to go through the bullshit of me going, well, I'm not really much of a drinker, but I just drank because I thought, we could hang out, or I'm not really interested.
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
genuinely, authentically be yourself. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how healing that is just in general
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. Cause
Just
you just
thinking
learn
like
to,
you're
like,
being,
whoa, I'm like a good person. I'm not like a bad gremlin that everybody hates.
or if you've just got finished with a sound bathing session and you're just like over here, ugly Greg, and everybody's like, I see your tears and I honor your tears and I
Yes.
love it that you're being so vulnerable. Like, you know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Like, it's
Yes.
totally different. It's totally different
And when
than
you're
like your
vulnerable,
coworkers or whatever.
yes, it's amazing how much you fear vulnerability, but then when you are vulnerable, people just are like, wow, it's just so refreshing, and
Exactly.
people love it.
Exactly. It's those one percenters. That's why they call them that, I feel.
Yeah.
So then what has been the hardest part and the most freeing part of starting over? And you started over at 42, is that correct? When
Well,
this all started?
I'm starting over again. Like, I felt like I started over at 32 with my divorce, where then I had to figure out
Okay.
who I was, and now I'm
Okay.
like, well, doing it again, like, here we go. And my therapist is like, but you already done this before. Your life exploded and you were fine. And I'm like, I don't want to explode my life again. Like,
Right?
but
Yeah.
you know, but he's like, but you're fine. Like, you're fine. You were fine
Yeah,
then,
right?
you're fine now. And he's like, and then
Yeah.
it's like, it just goes back to that trust in yourself, that love in yourself. Like, I am going to be okay. And this calling won't leave me alone for a reason.
Yeah.
And I could fight it and I could be unhappy and I could stay in teaching and go, "Well, I want a job, and like just talk
Uh-huh.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'm super, like, if I talk the talk, I got to walk the walk. Like, I would never
Yeah.
ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And
Yeah.
so to Truth Bunny is part of that, like, that honesty of, like, I can be honest with myself too. And if I'm just sitting here complaining about not liking my job anymore, but I'm not doing anything about it, like,
Uh-huh.
that's not me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So
Um,
what parts of your journey have been the most beautiful parts?
I think
Because let's
really,
say that you've been on a healing journey for, let's say, 10 years.
okay.
Okay. What's been the most beautiful part of that 10 years? Was it creating Truth Bunny or growing individually as a person? What self-development did you put in for yourself?
I think um building a family that it feels like being home with all of them and my husband, and feeling so safe to be myself and so adored. This is the other thing. Like, I didn't grow up I grew up in a big family. It was messy, it was chaotic, and I never
Right.
felt seen.
Or
And
heard.
to
Yeah.
realize that through this journey, I've built and cultivated this family that everybody feels heard and seen enough to where we all feel so loved and so safe. Like it is. I mean, I think magic is real in the world, and I think it exists in my kitchen when late at night when we're all talking about anything from like life and souls or magic and wizards or monkeys and spaghetti. Like we're, it's just everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is truly happiness, and it's authentic and it's real. And
And you
realizing like,
built it.
and I built it, like, and
You
my
built
husband,
it.
he was like, you did this, you did this. So
You did this.
yeah. It's like it's and through therapy learning to accept that love and learning like I built it and I'm a good person. I'm not a bad person just inherently, like which is what I
Yeah,
thought.
because you came from a lot of shame and guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what were some of the techniques that you used personally to try to shed shame and guilt? I'm curious.
Journaling is huge for me, and I never thought it would be. I mean,
Yeah.
I just thought like journaling's annoying, my hand hurts. You know, but then once I realized like letting your thoughts flow, that it almost is just like a trance. Like I don't even notice it. I think I'm journaling correctly now, where I'm not like forcing like something to be something. Um, I mean, I always say, I mean, my book, one honest conversation at a time. I mean, it really comes down to meaningful conversations. That is where you get it out of you and
Yep.
then you let it float around, and in a safe space, it kind of gets sorted. That's how it
Yeah.
feels. Like, oh, that was just a feeling. I felt bad, but it didn't mean I'm bad, and just so conversations in safe spaces, journaling, conversations with yourself. I'll have conversations in the car by myself, just like,
Uh-huh.
well, what was that?
Oh yeah.
Like,
We always have those pep talks with ourselves every day. You
yeah,
got those pep talks.
yes, yes. I'm
So
so
then,
glad I'm not alone in that too.
yeah, right. So I feel like maybe a big reason why people don't journal is because maybe they think that there's a right and a wrong way to do so. And because I hear that question a lot, I'm like, I just don't know. What do I write? How do I write it? Da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, put the pen
Yeah.
to your paper and just go. It can
Yeah.
be all over the place. It does not matter. Just go. Write down anything, thoughts, feelings, emotions,
Yeah.
what happened about and during your day, and then take that week and compile them. And maybe on a Sunday or a day of your choosing of the week where you compile it all together and you create chapter one of your book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You never know where that simple journaling will take you. I'm telling you guys.
Right. I mean, I've come up in journaling, like I'll have a thought like, oh, maybe I should try podcasting, look into podcasting for social media,
Yeah.
little thoughts that pop in my head that I'm like, that could be something. And they are sometimes.
And
And
I'm telling you, my journaling is messy as
uh-huh.
hell. It is so messy, but
You
that is
ever
literally how I built Deep Waves
like
coaching.
put
Literally.
arrows like this thought
Oh
connects
yeah.
actually?
Oh yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's so messy. I can't even, what the hell does this say?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you just know and you just put it together. And so, yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way to do any of that
In my
at
book
all.
I talk about it's my mental vomit method.
There you
Because
go.
it's literally for me, like even when I'm like my room or something, there's like or like my house is messy. But specifically with my room, I'm like, I'll put everything on my bed because it's usually just clothes. And I like put
Uh-huh.
everything on my bed and then I sort it. So I feel like with any kind of problem solving, I kind of do that. Like, let's put it all on the table, put all the junk, and then let's sort it. And
I love
that's, yeah. So that's kind of how I visualize it.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
So then what advice do you have for someone feeling called to pivot, but they're afraid to begin?
I think my first advice would be to let's question why. Like, let's figure out what the pivot is asking you or like teaching you or telling
Oh,
you,
yes,
you know,
teaching.
because I mean, I think I always question, like, am I just like a crazy overthinker or because I'm like, is it overthinking or is it just analyzing? And I think I've learned to balance it to where it's not just like, was this right? I don't know. And not just
It's
doubting
logical
myself.
and analytical both.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
still letting my delusional dreamer be a huge part of
Oh,
it.
yeah, he's got a pop in there. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very delicate dance.
Yeah.
But I think a healthy dose of delusion is good for anybody wanting to pivot because,
Very true. Very true.
you
That's
gotta,
part of
there's,
that's the definition of manifestation is we literally have to lie to ourselves, but not lie to ourselves, if that
yeah,
makes any
yeah.
sense.
You're like, it's
Like
magical,
like
but
for
it's
me,
not.
yeah, no, I am gonna have that house on the beach. Ta-da! No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna have that. And it just starts to become in fruition, and then it all happens. I'm telling you,
yeah,
lie to yourself.
yeah, exactly. And like my daughter, she'll always call me and go, well, what if I don't make it in Hollywood? Or, what if I,
Oh, you are.
but I always try to couple it with, look, if you were sitting on the couch and you hadn't gone to college and you weren't like out there getting jobs in your industry right now as a college, senior, and
Yeah,
you've been doing it, I would probably be like, well, honey, yeah, you're not going to make it in Hollywood because you're sitting on my couch. Like this, you can dream and
exactly.
talk, but you're doing the thing. So like logically, I'm saying you're gonna end up exactly where you belong and doing something
Oh,
you love because you are doing the steps. You're taking the action because that's the part that you have to have the action. You have to take, and I feel like I've been avoiding taking the action of just quitting my job because I'm like, well, I got to wait
okay.
for another job to come in and I have to be so much money and it has to be, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm resigning with no job and just my little truth bunny under my arm and myself,
And here we go.
and I'm going to figure it out, and it's going to be a life that I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
But I got to take that action, and I can't stand with one foot in this other career keeping me, it feels very trapped. I
Yeah.
can't, like, "Oh, okay, now I can be myself," and really,
Yeah.
so you got to take that action. It's so huge. Little.
And it does help that the kids are older now.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
not gonna lie. Of course, it does help. But look, I went to school full time, worked full time, and was a full time mom for 7, 10 plus years
Yeah.
by myself. Like it can be done and create a business and create a brand and create this and this and this and this. Like it can be done. Seriously. Danny did it. I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and just seeing you so much further along in the journey, like it's just so inspiring. I mean, what do you feel like was your like moment? I mean, like you're like, I'm quitting the job, like your truth bunny moment.
Yeah. What made you not be afraid to just say I quit? Like because I did the same thing. I remember how scared I felt quitting my job and starting a business and a brand and stuff. So
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
I feel like I am like, I like, called the district office today to be like, okay, I'm gonna say, okay, how do I get this process started? And of course, they didn't answer, and it was just like, like it is still so scary. I feel like I could still back out at any moment. But I don't
Yeah.
think I will. I don't think I will. But there is just a
Yeah.
moment of like, this is the time, like something about maybe my son graduating where it's like, well, last year I felt like, well, I got to get him through that senior year and I can't be all over the place starting a business. There was a lot of excuses that I gave last year as to why I couldn't do it. And this year I feel like I've got no excuse and it just feels right. And so there's something where I've like let go of the fear of like money what about money? What about bills?
Oh
Like,
yeah, what are you gonna do for money while you're starting a business? Like that's for me was the biggest thing.
yeah, yeah, it's huge. And I'm applying for jobs. Like I found a great job for a culture coach that I thought that would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
So something in between, like a bridge thing aligned with what I'm trying to do is kind of what I'm looking for. But I have faith. I don't know. I have this
Yeah.
weird
It
calmness.
definitely learns how to balance itself out. And us
Okay.
women we're really good at
Hmm.
doing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Problem
we've got to
solving,
be a
figuring it
mom
out.
and we got to be a wife. We got to be a student. We got to be an employee. We have so many hats that we wear that we can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah.
We just have to put our heart to it for real.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And faith, I keep writing to myself in my journal, like, you're going to have just rock steady faith in yourself, and you're going to have to take your punches as you go and you're going to be okay though. I'm telling you right now, like, come back and read
We'll
this.
be okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you will. Well,
Yeah.
Danny, is there anything else you want to leave our audience with today? It's been an absolute pleasure.
Nothing much, just except that, just letting the idea that something that you may have been wanting, but you feel like it's too big of a truth or too big of a need or a want, um, that is part of who you are. Um, that's something that's authentically you. And like, just don't be afraid to let that get a little attention because it's
Yeah.
probably going to do you more good than you think.
Yeah. And whoever it is probably a badass.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are badasses. So that's all I can say. Well, what a beautiful reminder that truth doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Danny's journey showed us that soft truth, the kind wrapped in love, grace, and realness, is often the most transformative. Whether you're navigating a life pivot, parenting through uncertainty, or simply learning to love yourself more honestly. Her story reminds us that it's okay to start where you are. Speak your truth gently and grow as you go. If
Mhm.
you felt seen or inspired by this conversation, be sure to follow Dani on Instagram or her TikTok at truthbunny_guide to keep walking this path of healing and self love alongside her. And if you're feeling the nudge to begin again in your own life, listen to it. That
Mhm.
nudge might just be your next breakthrough. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Deep Waves podcast. And until next time, keep honoring your truth and keep letting love lead. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dani.
you.
You're welcome. For more information on where to find me, please visit deepwavescoaching.com and on my Facebook and Instagram page at Deep Waves Life Coaching. If Dani's story or the Truth Bunny philosophy spoke to your heart, be sure to follow along and stay connected as her journey unfolds. On her Instagram, you can reach her at truthbunny_guide along with her TikTok at Truth Bunny. Also, you can shoot her an email at truthbunny.guide@gmail.com. Whether you're a mom in transition, a seeker of soft truth, or someone ready to start again, Dani is building something beautiful and you're invited to be a part of it. Thanks so much for watching.